Let's begin with our top focus story. This is a day after India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar criticized the United States for its tariffs against India, particularly in context of India buying Russian oil. Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, has now doubled down on his attack against India. Navarro has said that India is a laundromat for the Kremlin, adding to his earlier accusation that New Delhi is cozying up to both Russia and China. But despite these escalating tensions between India and the United States, the U.S. has offered a more reconciliatory stance, revealing exclusively to CNN News 18 that the trade talks with India are very much on track. The U.S. State Department further has said that despite the postponement of the U.S. trade delegation's visit, the overall dialogue remains very much active and constructive, with both sides working towards advancing a trade agreement really soon.
Well, I don't want to comment on a person, but let me comment on the subject. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not the country which has the biggest trade surge with Russia after 2022. I think there are some countries to the south. We are a country where actually the Americans said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy markets, including buying oil from Russia. Incidentally, we also buy oil from America, and that amount has been increasing. So, quite honestly, we are very perplexed at the logic of the argument that you had referred to.
Prior to the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, India bought virtually no Russian oil. Argument somehow now, as the percentage has gone up to like 30 and 35%, that somehow they need Russian oil to cool their homes or cook or drive their cars is nonsense. Russian refiners have gotten in bed with Italian refiners in a game in which they get cheap Russian crude, follow me here, they get crude at a discount, and then they make refined products which they sell at premium prices into Europe, Africa, and Asia. India, when you think about the tariffs we're putting in place, 25% because they cheat us on trade, 25% because of the Russian oil. They have higher tariffs, there are Maharaja tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers. We run a massive trade deficit with them, so that hurts American workers, hurts American businesses. And in many ways, the road to peace runs through New Delhi.
Jointly uphold international justice. At present, tariff wars and trade wars are disrupting the global economic and trade system. Power politics and the law of the jungle are prevalent, and the international rules and order have suffered severe impacts. The Global South is highly concerned about how China and India can strengthen cooperation and take the lead to help developing countries overcome difficulties and safeguard international fairness and justice. The essence of trade is to complement each other's advantages and achieve mutual benefits and win-win results, not a calculation of who loses and who gains, nor should it become a tool for pursuing individual selfish interests. The United States has long been benefited greatly from free trade, but now it is using tariffs as a bargaining chip to demand exorbitant prices from various countries. The United States has imposed tariffs of up to 50% on India and even threatened for more. China firmly opposes it. In the face of such acts, silence or compromise only emboldens the bully. China will firmly stand with India to uphold the multilateral trading system with the World Trade Organization at its core.
Let me take this across to my colleague Aman, who's with us on the broadcast. Aman, how does one read India's position vis-a-vis all of these developments? First of all, what happens to that delegation that was supposed to be visiting India from the United States, talking further on trade between India and the US? That seems to have been pushed back. What happens about that? Is the delegation visiting at all?
Well, yeah, what we are told is the US trade team, which had to come on August 25th, has postponed its visit. There is no new date which has been specified yet. Apparently, it seems because of the happenings which are happening, Mr. Trump's meetings with Zelensky and other European leaders in Washington, and before that his summit in Alaska with Vladimir Putin. So I think things need to develop first for US to talk more to India. Mr. Trump has earlier said that, he will think about the additional secondary tariff only after 2 to 3 weeks, which he announced for India from August 27th. That said, then he asked the US State Department about the progress of the India-U.S. trade talks. The US State Department has told us that, the talks are on, they are on track. To quote the US State Department statement to CNN News 18, they say that we value our ongoing engagement with the government of India on trade and investment matters. We look forward to continuing to advance a trade agreement that leads to a productive and a balanced trade relationship between our two countries. This is the official statement of the US State Department to CNN News 18. Also, when we asked them that has these tariffs, hurt the India-US strategic relationship in a way, the US State Department has told us that the President, Mr. Trump, has made it clear his desire to correct long-standing imbalances in international trade and bring fairness back to our trade relationship.
But this latest statement that's come from Navarro, calling India the laundromat of Kremlin, how bad is it looking from the US perspective and the relations between India and US? Is India really caught between the devil and the deep sea here?
Well, clearly, Grehasi, India does not want to disturb its long-standing relationship with Russia in any way. Post-COVID, the Russian oil has been a major reason for keeping the Indian economy afloat. And, India today is the world's fastest growing economy. And India does not want to disturb its purchases of oil from Russia, especially given the competitive prices which are available in the world market when it comes to Russia. And we are seeing that in a series of bilateral discussions. Our foreign minister was in Russia, our national security advisor was in Russia, and perhaps next month or in October, we could see the Russian president making his visit to India after a number of years. India is also doing its multilateral alignment with China, and you have seen the Chinese foreign minister here, and the prime minister will be going for the SCO summit to China on the 31st of this month. Clearly, India is keeping its multi-alignment policy alive. It does not want to fall in any camp. But a lot will depend actually on how the Russia-Ukraine situation pans out, and maybe the clarity will come by the end of this month.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Aman. Is that a prisoner's dilemma for India is also the big question that is being mulled as far as the geopolitical circles are concerned.